Good afternoon, everyone. In the last class, we discussed the preparation of xenon fluorides and their properties. Some of the chemical properties left over, that part we will discuss here. So, in the last class, we discussed that the chemical properties in the hydrolysis of xenon fluorides. Next, xenon fluorides can act as a good fluorinating agents. They can fluorinate to the other substances. In that chemical properties related to the fluorinating agent, fluorinating properties we can see here. They can act as fluorinating agents. Here the tendency to fluorinate the other substances is the order is like this. Xenon hexafluoride is a strong fluorinating agent compared to the xenon tetrafluoride, then xenon difluoride. We can see few chemical reaction related to this fluorinating property. Xenon hexafluoride, if we treat with ammonia, it can give ammonium fluoride. We get nitrogen plus xenon. Similarly, xenon tetrafluoride, if we treat with sulfur tetrafluoride will become as sulfur hexafluoride and xenon. So, it will give the fluorine to that nitrogen. Here fluorine it will give to the sulfur tetrafluoride. Similarly, xenon tetrafluoride, if we treat with platinum, we get platinum tetrafluoride plus xenon. And xenon tetrafluoride with mercury, we will get mercuric fluoride and xenon. Similarly, xenon difluoride also acts as a fluorinating agent. Xenon difluoride, if we treat with nitric oxide, we will get NOF and xenon. And similarly, xenon difluoride, acetylene, we will get is a kind of addition reaction, difluoroethylene, means difluoroethane we will get. So, these are the few reactions which support the fluorinating property of xenon fluorides. And xenon fluorides can also act as a good oxidizing agents. Why? Because they are unstable in nature, always they want to become elemental xenon. So, they can act as oxidizing agents. Again, the oxidizing ability, the oxidizing power of these halogens, these xenon fluorides, not halogens. This is order. Xenon hexafluoride in the same trend, xenon tetrafluoride and xenon difluoride. Because all these xenon fluorides, they want to become into the elemental xenon, zero oxidation state, stable electronic configuration. Anyhow, these are unstable in nature. So, higher oxidation state to the lower oxidation, zero oxidation state. Here xenon plus 6 oxidation state. So, plus 6 to 0, that is why it is a strong oxidizing agent. Some of the chemical reactions to support this oxidizing behavior. Xenon hexafluoride, when you treat with HCl, it will oxidize chloride to the chlorine. You will get chlorine and it releases xenon. Similarly, xenon tetrafluoride, when you treat with iodide will oxidize to iodine. You get 2I2. And also this tetrafluoride can oxidize mercury to the mercuric fluoride, just like previous reaction. 2Hg will get 2HgF. The xenon difluoride, same chloride ion will be converted into the chlorine. As usual, we get HF and xenon. Xenon difluoride, it will oxidize cerium salts to the ceric salt, cerium 3 plus to cerium 4 plus. And one more, all xenon halides, if like xenon hexafluoride or xenon tetrafluoride or xenon difluoride, they will react with hydrogen, they will form hydrogen fluoride and xenon. So these are the few reactions which support the oxidizing behavior of these xenon fluorides. Next type of chemical reactions here, reaction with the fluoride acceptor. This is very important again. Reaction with fluoride acceptors. Fluoride acceptor means like arsenic pentafluoride. This you can see few reactions related to this. The fluoride acceptors, for example, xenon difluoride, if you treat with arsenic pentafluoride, it will form the compound and it will donate fluorine to this ASF5. We get this one. Xenon tetrafluoride, if you treat with antimony pentafluoride. So SBF5 is also a good Lewis acid. It can, we have the vacant orbital, it can accept one fluorine. It will form XeF3 plus SbF6 minus. Similarly, xenon also, if like xenon hexafluoride, if we treat with phosphorus pentafluoride, it will form XeF5 plus PF6 minus. So these are the reactions with fluoride acceptors. So these are ASF5, SBF5, PF5. They are the fluoride acceptors. They can accept the fluorine from xenon fluorides. And apart from this, one important point we should keep in mind, note, xenon hexafluoride, instead of donating fluorine, it can accept fluorine from fluorine donors also. It will react with fluorine donors like XeF6 if we treat with fluorine donors, some metal fluorides, and this is a fluoride donor. It can form, means it will donate now, fluorine it can donate to the xenon, to form M plus XeF7 minus. So where the metal here is, it may be sodium or potassium, rubidium and cesium. For example, if you treat with sodium fluoride, we will get Na plus XeF7 minus. Potassium, potassium. If it is a cesium, cesium plus XeF7 minus. So only especially xenon hexafluoride, it can react with both fluoride acceptors and fluoride donors. This is also very important reaction, you should remember. For the xenon fluorides, we have xenon oxides. You see the xenon oxides. We have two xenon oxides. Oxygen can form two types. Xenon can form two types of oxides. One is a trioxide, one is tetroxide. Let us see oxides of xenon. We have xenon trioxide and xenon tetroxide. Both are unstable only. And the preparation, one preparation method here for both. Xenon hexafluoride or xenon tetrafluoride or hexafluoride on hydrolysis. Already we have discussed that on hydrolysis they can give xenon trioxide. As a final hydrolyzed product is xenon trioxide. Similarly, xenon tetroxide we can prepare by taking barium xenate. This barium xenate, if we treat with sulfuric acid, we will get xenon tetroxide. Apart from this, the byproducts barium sulfate and water. Xenates an acidic medium, and tetrafluoride, hexafluoride hydrolysis will get a trioxide. And properties of these oxides, tetroxide and trioxide. Here xenon trioxide is a colorless explosive solid. Colorless explosive solid, and it can act as a powerful oxidizing agent. Powerful oxidizing agent. And xenon tetroxide, this is also unstable. This is unstable gas. It easily explodes at low temperature conditions. One reaction, this xenon trioxide, when you treat with sodium hydroxide, we will get sodium perxenate. Again, the product is important, sodium perxenate. These few properties only, not much important about this xenon trioxide. So this is about the xenon compounds, both fluorides and oxides. Next, one more important part here in the noble gases, structures. This is very important. Structures ఎక్కువగా అడుగుతూ ఉంటాడు. We will see the structures of all xenon compounds. Structures of xenon difluoride, tetrafluoride, hexafluoride, xenon oxyfluorides and xenon oxides, everything. First we will take up xenon difluoride. How it look like? Here xenon is a central atom in both fluorines terminals. Xenon here valency electrons, 8 electrons in the 2-R bond formation. Then ultimately the 6 electrons should be present in the form of 3 lone pairs. This is the structure. Now it has 2 sigma bonds and 3 lone pairs, 2 plus 3 5. So hence the hybridization is sp3d hybridization. Sp3d with 3 lone pairs means linear geometry. It is a linear. And where for this molecule sometimes they will ask you the dipole moment. The dipole moment equal to 0. Second, xenon tetrafluoride. Again here xenon is a central atom. Now here one fluorine, here one fluorine, here one fluorine, here one fluorine. Again, out of 8 electrons, 4 are in bond formation and 4 more electrons, 2 lone pairs. Now we have 4 bond pairs and 2 lone pairs. 4 bond pairs, 2 lone pairs, nothing but hybridization is sp3d2 hybridization, and the geometry is a perfect square planar geometry. Square planar. Number of lone pairs means 2 lone pairs in the central atom. The surrounding atom, each fluorine carries 3. If they ask total number of lone pairs, so here 2, here 4 into 3, 12, total 14 lone pairs. Similarly, xenon difluoride case, total number of lone pairs means in the terminal atom, each fluorine carries 3, 3 and 3, 3, 3, total 9 lone pairs. Again, dipole moment of xenon tetrafluoride. Here also, this is perfect symmetrical molecule, mu equal to 0. Xenon difluoride and tetrafluoride, both the case the dipole moment is 0. Xenon hexafluoride. The structure is again here, xenon is a central atom. We have the 6 fluorines. And we have 1 lone pair also. Again, each electrons, 6 electrons in bond formation, 2 electrons they can form 1 pair, lone pair. So due to the presence of these lone pair, now it is not a perfect octahedral geometry. Now total 6 sigma bonds, 1 lone pair. The hybridization is sp3d3 hybridization. sp3d3 hybridization. It is distorted octahedral geometry. Distorted octahedral. So anyhow, this is not a perfect symmetrical molecule, hence in this case mu not equal to 0. So it has some resultant dipole moment. And the next, these are the xenon fluorides. Next, xenon oxides. Let me take xenon trioxide. Xenon is a central atom, and 3 oxygen they can form double bond. Oxygen can make a double bond with xenon, and out of 8 again 3 bonds, 3 sigma bond, 3 pi bonds, 6 electrons over 2 more electrons, they can form 1 pair. Now it has a 3 sigma bonds, 1 lone pair. Pi bonds will not involve in the hybridization. So now hybridization 3 plus 1, sp3 hybridization. Xenon trioxide sp3 hybridization. sp3 hybridization with 1 lone pair means this is a pyramidal in geometry. It is a pyramidal. Again, pyramidal means not a symmetrical. So resultant dipole moment. It has some permanent dipole moment. Again, mu not equal to 0 in case of xenon trioxide. Xenon tetroxide. Xenon is a central atom, and 4 oxygens they can form double bonds in a perfect tetrahedral manner. Now we have the 4 sigma bonds, 4 pi bonds. Again, only sigma bonds in hybridization. It is sp3 hybridization. No lone pair in the central atom. So tetrahedral in geometry. So perfect symmetrical molecule. Again here, resultant dipole moment equal to 0. No permanent dipole moment in case of xenon tetroxide. Now let us see the combination of oxygen and fluorine. Xenon oxidifluoride. Here also xenon is a central atom. And this is a fluorine and this is a fluorine. So out of each electrons, 4 are bonds and 2 more lone pairs. So always this double bond, they occupies the equatorial position. Now the structure is overall sp3 hybridization, trigonal bipyramidal, but here two equatorial positions occupied with the lone pairs. It is a T shape. sp3d with two lone pairs means T shape. Xenon oxy difluoride. If it's the dipole moment, here also mu has some permanent dipole moment, mu not equal to 0. Xenon oxy tetrafluoride. Again the xenon central atom. And oxygen is a double bond. Again 6 electrons in bond formation and 2 electrons, they can form one pair. Again here 5 plus 1, 6 sp3d2 hybridization. sp3d2 with one lone pair means it is a square pyramidal in geometry. Square pyramidal. Again dipole moment here, it is not asymmetrical. Again, mu not equal to 0 here also. Next, xenon dioxide difluoride. Xenon dioxide difluoride. The structure of xenon dioxide difluoride is like this. Again 6 are in bond formation and 2 they form one lone pair. Again sp3d hybridization, and here one lone pair occupies equatorial position and 2 oxygens, there are multiple bonds again they occupy the equatorial positions. So overall geometry here sp3 hybridization with seesaw geometry. And very important point, oxygen occupies equatorial position and fluorine occupies the axial positions. Here also the dipole moment is not equal to 0, it has some permanent dipole moment. The last one, perxenate, Xe064-, this is called perxenate. Xenon is a central atom. Four oxygens carries negative charge, formal charge, and 2 of the oxygens multiple bonds. And this is all there is no lone pair in the central atom, all electrons involved in the bond formation. Now with the 6 bonds, 6 bond means hybridization, sp3d2 hybridization, this is a perfect octahedral geometry. So hence dipole moment is equals to 0. And this negative charge involved in the delocalization, the negative charge may be present in any of the oxygen. We cannot say they are particularly belongs to these 4. And this negative charge may involve in the delocalization. So all 8 they will get it. 6 oxygens. Means each oxygen can carry the negative charge of for negative charge minus 4 by 6, then contribute. Minus 4 by 6 minus 4 by 6 like this. This is a formal charge of each oxygen, we can say. And this is minus 4 by 6. So these are the structures of xenon compounds. Structures are very, very important for xenon compounds. Next we have a small part of clathrate compounds. Clathrate compounds means sometimes atoms or molecules, they can be entrapped in the cavities of crystal lattices, and they will form a special type of molecules, compounds, and they are called clathrate compounds. Sometimes these are also called guest host molecules or host guest compounds. When water molecules or quinol, some organic compounds, when they solidify it, due to the presence of hydrogen bonding, they can form some cavities, means empty spaces. So in that empty spaces, the gas molecule, if you pass a gas molecule over the solid surfaces, and the gas molecules can entrap into that cavities, and that overall compounds we can call clathrate. The type of that cage type compounds, we can say they are cage type compounds also. They are clathrate compounds. So we can define like this. Compounds which are formed due to the entrapping of atoms or molecules, either atoms or molecules which are having the appropriate size. So they can entrap in cavities. Of the crystal lattice. Crystal lattice of other compounds. They are called clathrate compounds. The best example here, if you solidify water or ice, it can form hydrogen bond, and quinols, that also if you solidify it due to the hydrogen bond. In case of water molecules, if you see, due to the presence of hydrogen bond, water can form the hydrogen bond like this. Let me take here. Sometimes like this, hexagonal rings. Again, if you extend it, again, just if you extend it, you will get a kind of cavities here. Due to the hydrogen bond, we can observe in the ice molecules some cavities. Due to that, ice can float over the water. Presence of these empty spaces, it has a less density, that we know. And these empty cavities here, if you pass over the surface of these solid molecules, if you pass some gases, the gas molecules can entrap. They can be captured by this gas. They can be entrapped in these cavities, which are having appropriate size. The size of the gas molecule should be fit into the cavities. And this type of molecules are called clathrate compounds. Mainly, you can observe these clathrate compounds where a hydrogen bond is there. Compounds having hydrogen bonds, they can form in the crystal structure this type of cavities, and the cavities can be entrapped, especially so hence this type of compounds are called host guest compounds. So this molecule can act as a host. Some gas molecules, some foreign molecules can entrap there as a guest. So they are called host guest compounds. Are also called cage compounds. It is a kind of cage only. This cavity is empty space, so it is like a cage. It is called cage compounds. Cage-like compounds are host guest compounds. Now come to the noble gases case. Here appropriate size means helium neon doesn't form the clathrates. This is very important. Helium and neon does not form clathrate compound. The remaining argon, krypton, xenon they can form. Why they will not form means due to the small size of helium and neon, they cannot fit into the cavities. The size of the cavity is not appropriate to the size of the helium and neon, so they can easily escape from the cavities. So they are not suitable to fit into that cavities. Hence, helium and neon does not form clathrate compounds or host guest compounds. So for us, this point is very important in the clathrate compounds. Just you should remember here what is the clathrate compound, and this one helium neon does not form the clathrate compounds. That much is enough. And the next, the last part, the noble gases, that is applications of noble gases. Just you can read whatever is there in the NCERT, that is sufficient. Just we will note it down. Uses individually. First we will take up helium. Helium we can use mainly in the filling the balloons for meteorological observations and gas-cooled nuclear reactors, and we can use for low temperature experiments. It is a cryogenic agent. Cryogenic means low temperature experiments. These are the few applications of helium. And neon mainly we can use the discharge tubes for the decorative gardenings and something, and for greenhouse purpose also we can use neon. Argon anyhow very inert in nature, that is useful to create the inert atmosphere, argon. And krypton, xenon also they will use in the electrical bulbs for the decoration purpose. And radon is a radioactive elements, mainly we can use the cancer treatment. We can write those applications here. Helium is used in filling of balloons. For meteorological application or observations. It is used as a gas-cooled nuclear reactors. The nuclear reactors we can use this. To maintain the low temperatures. And next we can use this as a cryogenic agent. A cryogenic agent means for low temperature experiments we will use it. Cryogenic agent to carry the experiments at low temperature conditions. And next, neon, applications of neon. It is used mainly in the discharge tubes. Used in discharge tubes and fluorescent bulbs. Mainly for decorative purposes, we will use this neon gas in the bulbs, decorative bulbs. And also it is used in botanical gardens. And greenhouses. There we will use the neon bulbs. In botanical gardens and greenhouses we will use the neon bulbs. Next, argon. Argon mainly will use to create the inert atmosphere, to provide or to create inert atmosphere. And the argon gas also we can use for filling electric bulbs. for filling electric bulbs. There is an application of next krypton. This is also krypton, xenon. All these will use in electric bulbs only for decorative purpose, other things. Electric bulbs. Here krypton, the isotope of krypton, krypton 85, is used to measure the thickness of metal sheets. Thickness of metal sheets. Next we have the xenon. Xenon also almost we can use in the electrical bulbs, but here mixture of krypton and xenon can be used in the high speed photography. Mixture of krypton and xenon used in high speed photography. And the last one here, radon. This is a radioactive element, so we can use in the radioactive research due to the radioactive nature. We can use in radioactive research, and radon can be used in the cancer treatment. Is also one of the applications. So these are the few applications of these noble gases. Sometimes board level they may ask you the questions. Write 1 or 2 applications of helium or neon like that. Okay, this is overall about the noble gases or 0 group elements or 18th group elements. That's it.